Good afternoon to our first students. My name is Susan Ashmore and I'm the Development Director for First in Texas. You finished a very different school year and we applaud your perseverance. Congratulations to all the graduates and our best wishes as you pursue your career and education goals. Our Powering Texas talk will provide vital information about the backbone of the industrial world, which supplies essential energy to manufacturing, commercial, and residential customers. The electric power industry covers the generation, transmission, distribution, and sale of electric power to the general public and industry. Protection of our energy sources is one of the most important industries to protect against cybersecurity attacks. Let's get started and let me introduce you to today's panelists. Cristina Duarte is the Manager of Education and Mentorship Programs for CPS Energy. She is responsible for overseeing new and existing education and mentoring programs, along with cultivating internal and external partnerships. She's worked passionately to support various programs in the Alamo area, including First in Texas. Her drive, determination, and passion comes from wanting to provide a better future for her family and community. Our second panelist is Keaton Irons, Talent Acquisition Recruiter for Xcel Energy from Amarillo. He is responsible for recruitment activities throughout Xcel's Texas and New Mexico service area. Keaton is active in campus recruiting activities, including hosting informational sessions with surrounding colleges to discuss STEM opportunities across the organization. Our last panelist is Justin Loth, Transmissions Operation Manager with Oncor, located in Dallas. Justin has 10 years of power industry experience in various roles on both the utility and regional transmission organization sides of the electric power industry. Prior to rejoining Oncor, Justin joined the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator and led the South Texas Outage Coordination and Real-Time Operations teams in Arkansas. That's a mouthful, Justin. Justin is an advocate for STEM education and enjoys spending his free time as a pilot. So let's start with our experts from across Texas. Cristina, can you start us off? The first question is, tell us a little bit about your service area in Texas and the types of energy sources you provide or produce.
So we serve more than 840,000 electric customers and 350,000 natural gas customers. We serve customers in Bexar County, portions of Atascosa, Bandera, Comal, Guadalupe, Kendall, Medina, and Wilson counties. That's a lot. And the sources of power, you know, we have, like I said, we have gas and coal, solar, wind. Let me think, did I forget anything? I think that's about it. Yeah, we have all of those. Yeah.
Justin?
Sure. So can you hear me okay? Well, I hope that's a yes and you guys can hear me. So at Oncor, we are the state's largest transmission and distribution service provider. So in terms of energy sources, we don't own or produce any generation, but our goal is to keep the lights on and deliver power through our transmission wires and our distribution wires to over 10 million Texans across our service territory. So our service territory is pretty big and spans about a third of the state of Texas. And it starts in the heart of North Central Texas in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is where I'm located at. But goes all the way to the western edge of Texas to Midland, Odessa, in the Culberson area, all the way to East Texas, and Tyler and Lufkin. So in total, we have over 139,000 miles of transmission and distribution service lines, and we serve over 400 communities across the 98 counties in our service territory.
Keaton, how about you?
Absolutely. So with Xcel Energy, we actually service 8 states across the country. However, for our Texas and New Mexico operating company, we have the division headquarters in Amarillo, Texas, which is where I'm based. We have 5 power plants, so we do the generation in-house. We have 2 coal, 3 gas. We just completed construction of a 478 megawatt wind farm near Plainview, Texas. And that's enough to power about 184,000 homes. And then on top of that, we also handle all the distribution, transmission, just about everything you can think of. We do it to keep the lights on. And then up in our northern states, we also actually supply gas as well.
Very good. So can each of you tell us how your industry is changing? Can you start, Cristina?
So as we build our PEP for the future, we understand that we need to stay flexible and continuously meet the needs of our communities. So we had some goals. One of them was to close 2 older plants, and accomplished, got that done. We've positioned ourselves to integrate new technologies like battery storage and electric vehicles. We continue to expand our solar and wind resources. We've added more programs and services like energy efficiency and demand response. Also rebates to help our customers, save some money, with various appliances. And so, through our new energy economy, it's allowing us to leverage some of the stuff some of the technologies that we use and that are coming out, and to develop something new. So that's what we do.
Justin, how are things changing for Oncor?
Sure. Well, I'll say that a lot's changing in our industry, and so the two areas that I want to touch on and highlight are generation and load. So I'll start with generation. So as I mentioned, Oncor doesn't own any generation, and we operate the grid, and we keep up and maintain the transmission and distribution lines. But one of the challenges is that the generation over the past 10 years has been changing a lot, and we've seen a really big shift in that. And so one of them is renewable energy, as Cristina mentioned. There's a lot of wind and a lot of solar that's coming on, and that completely changes the dynamics of the grid that we operate. 10 years ago, for example, in the whole state of Texas, we barely had about 8% of renewable energy, and today, we have over 25% of our generation mix in wind alone. And so as we see more of that traditional generation, such as coal power plants retire, and the adoption of rooftop solar and residential customers installing renewable energy, that changes the grid and how we operate. And that puts it on the transmission and distribution service providers to make sure that we can accommodate that and keep the grid reliable, as our goal is to keep the lights on. Another area is changing is load. So load is the consumption of power that we have on our system. One of the great things about Texas is that we're growing. We're one of the leading states of people moving into the areas, and this has been that way for quite some time. And for example, today I just read a report that Tesla is acquiring land outside of Austin to build a new factory. So what that means is that those new residential customers, those new commercial customers, they need power supplies, they need load, and we need to serve them. And so that means we need to continue to be proactive and find innovative ways to serve customers. And so what we do is at Oncor is we want to stay ahead of this, and we're investing billions of dollars of state-of-the-art infrastructure and technologies to create a safer, more reliable, and a more effective power grid. And that helps us. We're looking at big data. We're doing predictive analytics to monitor dangerous storms and identify problems before they even happen. And it helps us respond to things more quickly and help keep the lights on.
That's fantastic. How about you, Keaton?
Absolutely. So I'll kind of echo Justin and Cristina on that. Sustainability is becoming a huge factor in our business. And like I said before, we just recently completed construction on a huge wind farm out at Plainview. We've started another project in eastern New Mexico that will also serve customers here in Texas. So that's a huge piece of our industry is we're moving away from the carbon emitting sources like coal and even gas power plants and moving more towards sustainability options. But you know, another thing that's going on with us is the relationship with our customers is just changing drastically just because the way that communication technologies are starting to reshape that relationship. And so that's another way that we're trying to keep up with the changing technologies and make sure that we're keeping our customers happy. And, you know, and because really at the end of the day, the bottom line is no longer just financials, it's our relationship with our customers as well. So I'd say that's a couple of ways our industry is definitely changing.
Absolutely. And I know that this is the time of year when a lot of storms and hurricanes come, and that I know a lot of you go and support other areas of the state or country that are hard hit. So we thank you all for making our state safe and keeping the electricity on. So I've been told by the United States Air Force Cybersecurity Command that the #1 risk to our nation's cyber defense is our utilities. How do you protect yourself against cyber attacks? Let's start with you, Cristina.
So, you know, cyber attacks can't be prevented altogether. You know, cyber criminals and threat actors are creating new tactics, techniques, and procedures daily. As component of the nation's critical infrastructure, we have to comply with government policies and standards that demonstrate our efforts to protect cyber assets and minimize the security risks. We have a cybersecurity team who's, you know, dedicated to monitoring the latest developments from law enforcement and government agencies. The agencies provide information on the ever-evolving tactics, techniques, and procedures of criminals and threat actors as well. Our security team is also first responders responsible for conducting investigations and forensics when there's a potential cybersecurity incident targeting our company or industry. There's also ongoing security awareness communications and training for all the employees and contractors as well to help identify and report potential threats. As a matter of fact, every once in a while the security team will email us and send us some email trying to, you know, okay, we took a class, did we really pay attention? And so, okay, send them the email, see what they do with it. And yes, twice I've messed up and I have to go back to class, but you know, there's ongoing training. And as a matter of fact, last Friday, Thursday, I joined some of our interns in what our security team is implementing. It's called Cyber Escape. And you know, it's an interactive piece that teaches you about security awareness, but you're also problem solving with a group of team members. So yeah, we're trying to come up with different ways to be better prepared and to try to prevent these things. As long as we keep doing that, you know, we'll be okay.
Very good. How about you, Justin?
Sure. Yeah, this is a great question, and a lot of echoing what Cristina is doing at her company. So yeah, at Oncor, cybersecurity and the protection of our critical infrastructure is incredibly important and a very big priority for us. And it's ever increasing. As I mentioned in my last answer, you know, we have a lot. Our industry is changing, and we have a lot more smart. We have more of a smart grid, is what we call it in our system. A lot of devices now that are able to communicate. So we have more data and more automation. But the thing about that is, on one side, it's great because we have more visibility into the grid, but it's sort of a two-edged sword, because if you have more data and you have smarter devices, that means that we have more devices that create a potential for vulnerabilities and hackers to infiltrate our equipment. So I was actually talking to one of our cybersecurity experts at Oncor yesterday, and a really interesting fact is that in the past 24 hours alone at Oncor, we have seen over 247 million vulnerabilities and attacks that have tried to infiltrate our equipment. Most of these are blocked by automated systems and more of like the automated type hacking, but still that's a staggering number to think about. And so our job is always to continue to stay vigilant and proactive and smarter than that hacker, so that we can prevent these things. And our team does an incredible job at it. And so how we do this is we have really a strategic layered approach to protect against this. And there's for those tech guys on the call listening in, what I was told it's called a security onion. And the security onion is the idea that at the crown of the onion there's a jewel that we want to protect, and all the layers of the skin of the onion is all the layers that protect us against from hackers getting into our crown jewel. And so it all starts, like Cristina said, with education from our employees and the help from them. Everybody has laptops these days, so that's another vulnerability point. So we do a lot of training and awareness for employees and try to bake it into our culture, just like safety. Safety is incredibly important to Oncor, and now with cyber, if we don't have that protected, how can we say that we're safe? So we have to bake that in. We have a lot of sophisticated tools that monitor and detect and respond to events, and we also have a state-of-the-art cybersecurity operations center that we maintain 24 hours a day, that have cybersecurity experts that help us protect against those 247 million attacks, and we monitor from there all the critical access points. So that, in a nutshell, is what we do, and yes, it's a big job and a very important one at that.
How about you, Keaton?
You know, I'll echo a lot of what Justin and Cristina said again, and we actually have a pretty similar approach to Oncor when it comes to cybersecurity. I will say our CEO, Ben Folk, is actually a member of the Electricity Subsector Coordinating Council, that's ESCC, and this is a group of CEOs and other industry leaders that serve as a liaison between the federal government and the electric power sector to address national security threats to the grid. And so there's a lot of collaboration that goes into it because, you know, at the end of the day, the grid really is all connected. And so all these companies and different organizations have to work together along with the government to make sure that we're keeping our grid and infrastructure safe. That way we can all provide reliable energy and power that our customers and businesses need to, you know, to really exist at all, you know, how it is now. So yeah, I would say we're pretty similar to the previous two as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So what is the hottest STEM career at your organization right now, and why is it in high demand? Cristina, can you start us off?
So when I read that question, I thought, sheesh, gosh, which career? Now, right off the top, I'm going to say the hottest one would be probably engineering and maybe, you know, in our financial services, you know, accounting or what have you. But I asked some of our interns, you know, what do you think? And they say, you know, it actually depends on what you're looking for, who that person is, what their interest is. Not only that, some of our interns, when they have interned with us, they've discovered, oh my gosh, there's so many other careers that we don't know about. Mm-hmm. And you know, if more people knew about the various careers, then maybe those careers would become like the hottest thing. But yeah, you know, engineering, accounting, those are the hot jobs. And but you know, it just depends on what you're pursuing or wanting to pursue.
Very good. Justin?
Sure. So I would say the two things that I was thinking about when answering this question. One of them is cybersecurity and data science. You know, as I mentioned, we have as the grid is changing, we have all of these new smart devices and new servers and data to maintain and data to protect. Those two spaces are growing as fast as ever, and so those are really hot topic items at Oncor that we are recruiting for and always looking for great talent in. So computer science, cybersecurity, data analytics. Take an example of what we're going through right now with COVID. We now have more than ever a huge portion of our workforce working from home, and so we need a bright set of people that are keeping up our data infrastructure to help us with the virtual distance and working remotely. But on the other side, as Cristina mentioned, engineering is still a hot career at our company. With that big capital investment that we make, we need engineers to design those things, design the transmission lines, the substations, the smart devices. So there's always a need for electrical engineers, civil designers, technicians. So we're still very much hiring for it all, and it hasn't slowed down.
Very good. How about you, Keaton?
Absolutely. I would say our hottest job here at Xcel Energy is going to be engineering related. We've had a bunch of people who have retired, and it seems like we're having more retire than we are getting them to come in. So we've seen a good increase in our engineering internship program. A lot of entry-level engineering opportunities are coming up and opening up, week by week. It's crazy how fast we're trying to bring those folks in. But to echo what Justin said, another good path for us is anything IT related is becoming a real hot field too. Data scientists, analysts, cybersecurity, it's all definitely growing here as well.
Very good. Well, we know a whole lot of our first students go on to pursue engineering careers, and really I think 78% go on to pursue STEM careers in college. So that, it sounds like it's a good match for all the hot jobs at your organizations. So can you tell me what other types of STEM careers you offer? Can you start us, Cristina?
So what we've been doing, as I talked earlier about, there's a lot of careers out there that these students don't know about. We've been looking at various careers such as, journeyman lineman, safety professional, and kind of opening it up and showing the students that, hey, there's STEM involved in this career as well. Let's look at all the math and science that's involved before you can even be part of that department. And so we've noticed that there's been a great interest in those fields. Also with our communications piece, there's science involved in there as well. So we're trying to open it up and trying to show students and well, just anybody who's looking for a job that's STEM related that, hey, these careers also have STEM in it, and don't just discount it because you think there's no science involved. There is. You just have to look at it. So there's lots of careers there that we're trying to open up to students.
Very good. Justin?
Sure. So at Oncor, there is a lot of STEM career opportunities available for students, and some of them are even quite surprising that you would think that would be at a utility. So I'll touch on a couple of those. So one of them is, so it's really split up into two buckets of STEM careers. One of them being in the field. So field is people that are working physically on the grid, on the transmission lines. So we have a lot of technicians, line workers, as Cristina mentioned, that install the equipment, maintain it, troubleshoot it, and continue to find innovative ways to utilize the state-of-the-art equipment that we have and keep it maintained. And so those types of folks are getting. I think we'll touch on this in another question, so I'll be brief. But they're getting lineman certificates. They're getting technician type certifications, double ETs, electrical engineering technology. So those are the folks that are in the field. On the engineering side of things, we hire electrical, civil, mechanical engineers, and these folks are designing substations. They're designing the transmission lines. Think about the civil work that's involved of the foundation and the soil analysis, mechanical, the tension, the tensions that the wires go on. And then one of the interesting ones that I found surprising when I came to Oncor 10 years ago is that we hire biologists and we hire environmental scientists. And so at Oncor, our biologists, they work in a oil processing lab because we have a lot of oil in our equipment to either keep it cooled or insulated electrically. And so they're always doing samples and making sure that the oil is well maintained and it has that good dielectric properties on it. And we even use it to reclaim it so we can save on the greenhouse gas side. And then finally, data and computer science, as I already mentioned. So a lot of different STEM careers at Oncor.
Very good. How about you, Keaton?
Absolutely. So on top of the engineering side, we hire chemical, electrical, mechanical. We even have nuclear engineers up in our nuclear power plants in Minnesota. But we also do have environmentalists, chemists. Those folks are going to be out at our power plants testing groundwater and that type of thing. Like I mentioned earlier, IT, cybersecurity, programming, data scientists and analysts. Almost every department is going to have someone who deals with the numbers, interprets data, and uses that information to help us make good, business decisions. But there's so much more out there. It's really an endless list. Almost anything you think of in the utility industry can somehow tie back to the STEM world. So, but those would definitely be some of our biggest ones.
Very good. So can you give us an example of a STEM career pathway? In other words, starting at a lower level job and advancing one or more levels? Cristina, can you start us off?
So, yeah, I was thinking, gosh, there are so many different jobs. So the one that I'm going to describe is one that just recently happened. So we have high school students. So we go around and we recruit students to apply for our distribution internship training program. And, some of them, they come on and they're trainees. Then they go through the whole process of, trying to figure out, is this what I want to do? And if they do, then they get hired on as an official trainee. Then from there, they can become an apprentice. Then from there, they can become a journeyman lineman. And then, management, there's opportunities for that. There's even some who have shifted and have gone straight into safety, or have shifted a different path and have decided to just become a trainer, working in employee development. But then we have those that go straight on up. And as a matter of fact, we have one gentleman who no college degree. He is now a director of one of the service centers. And so, there's different routes that you can take. We encourage our employees to explore, just because we have so many different careers, we want people to find what they are passionate about. And if there's something else that's of interest, hey, let's go explore it. And so, that's just one example.
That's a fantastic example. Thank you. How about you, Justin?
Sure. So I'll give an example of a pathway that a future engineer or a current one or a technician could take at Oncor. So similar to Cristina, we're going to the high schools and recruiting and advocating for Oncor, promoting awareness and trying to get the pathways defined for students that may be interested in a career in the utility industry. So let's say somebody is interested in being an engineer. So they'll attend a college, and we recruit from a lot of different colleges, over 30 of them in the state to count. And as early as a freshman, you can start as an intern at one of our engineering groups, line, substation, right of way, and modeling. And so the goal there is it's a paid internship, and you can shadow engineers and learn the work processes, learn the tools, And typically this is a traditional type, like summer type internship. I actually did that, and I went local. I went to college at UTA, and so I was even able to do an apprenticeship while going back to school for the fall and the summer, fall and the spring semesters, and kind of working part-time. So there's definitely that type of opportunity for someone just starting out in the field. And then as you graduate, come on full-time, you're continuing to gain experience in the field that you work in. And there's a lot of different disciplines, as I mentioned, and also a lot of opportunity. I think Keaton mentioned it in one of his earlier comments that there's a big need in the utility industry as a whole to hire. There's a lot of retirements that are happening right now or are going to be happening really soon, and so that's going to give opportunity for for young students and young professionals to either take two routes. I think there's a technical leader route, and then there's a people leader route. And so if you find yourself as a technical leader, that's someone that's a subject matter expert in the field. I'm an expert at transmission lines. I'm an expert at foundations, not structures. And so you can be that technical leader at the consultant level. And then the other one is, as Cristina mentioned, is the people leader. So those, leading teams and developing and growing and advocating and doing those types of things. So two very different tracks, but a lot of opportunity in the STEM industry right now.
Very good. How about you, Keaton?
Absolutely. So I think, for us, an example I'll provide is our engineering path for our new hires. We do start actually doing high school internships, so senior high school students can actually come in and do an internship with us just to get a feel for what it is that they are interested in. And then from there, once they start going to college, move into an actual college engineer intern. And we try very hard to bring on just about every intern that we have to a full-time role once their internship ends. And so, they'll come on as an entry-level engineer at that point, whether it's in distribution or energy supply or whatever, whatever department they kind of decide that they like during their internship. And then there's, different steps from there, even all the way up to a principal engineer. Once you get to that high of a level, which requires 9 years of experience. Once you get to senior or staff or principal engineer, you can kind of start to branch out. Maybe you want to go to a different department. Maybe you want to get into a leadership role. It's a lot easier to move around within the company than it is for someone outside to come in and score a leadership role whenever they didn't come up through the organization. But I think that's a good example for this. There's internships opportunities available for just about every role that we have, whether it's STEM related or not. And that's one of our primary pipelines for bringing in new talent.
Fantastic. So what types of STEM jobs would be available to a first student that just graduated from high school? Cristina?
I'm going to have to say I highly recommend that all high school students look for internships. That they come out thinking that they want to pursue a particular career or go down a particular path. You don't know until you're actually there. And I think the best way to start off is by, doing an internship. From there, they can just, decide, okay, this is what I want to do and just move forward. But if they needed a full-time job, what we have available would be, an apprentice. A trainee. They would come out for a journeyman lineman. And even at that, we still encourage high school students to go through the internship program first. We want you to enjoy what you're pursuing, and the best way to find out is by doing an internship.
Very good. Justin?
Sure, definitely echo what Cristina was saying about the internships. We definitely encourage those, and that's a great way to for not only us to evaluate the candidates, but also for for you as an intern to find what you like and what you don't like. So internships is an amazing opportunity that we have lots of both STEM and non-STEM here at Oncor. Last count I had was over 100. We have over 100 internships every year throughout the different organization at our company. So one thing I do want to point out is that I'd say for right now, for our industry, the challenge is that it's pretty competitive out there. At Oncor, for example, we don't have a lot of turnover in our employee population. And what I'm seeing today is that a lot of people that are applying to our jobs are coming in with some higher level certifications and degrees. And traditionally, back to the original question, I'd say from someone that first graduated high school, one path that someone could take would be to like apply and get a entry-level job as an administrator at one of our offices, and then work your way up to a designer or a technician, or one of the disciplines you're interested in, while taking night courses or getting an associate's in an electrical technology field. And one of the great things about Oncor is that we offer tuition assistance up to $10,000 a year for people to do that, and a lot of people are taking advantage of that. So that's one way. And however, the other great thing is that there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of paths that high schoolers can do to get into the utility industry as a whole, or even Oncor specifically if they're interested in energy. And so many of these you can do while either working towards a degree in high school or like in Oncor, as Cristina mentioned, work for a utility while attending a 2 or 4 year college as an apprentice or as an intern. So one of the things that we're doing in the DFW area and plan to expand is we have a couple of industry partnerships that we support with Wilmer Hutchins High School and Fort Worth ISD, where juniors and seniors in high school can get the opportunity to get a technical associate's degree that Oncor would recognize and hire full-time right out of the gate. And then, of course, the traditional internship route, we recruit from over 30 different campuses that and colleges around the state, and so lots of internship opportunities there. And yeah, just to reiterate, yeah, I definitely encourage you to go to one of those recruiting events and try the internship route, because that's a very fulfilling and great opportunity mutually, both for you and for us.
Fantastic. How about you, Keaton?
So, a lot of our, echoing Justin and Cristina again, we're pretty similar. What I like to suggest to everyone is, if you have the chance in high school to go out and maybe you have a class where they're going and touring a power plant, or, anything that you may be interested in, that's a good way to get introduced to that type of field and to make sure at least that you are somewhat interested before you try to pursue a career in that area. But for us, you can come in, like I said, as a high school intern or college intern. But if you have just graduated high school, we've got apprenticeship opportunities in the power plants, as well as out on the line department. And you can kind of, work your way through an apprenticeship. And if at some point along the way, maybe you've decided, college is for me, I want to go and get my degree, our company will actually reimburse you up to 80% for your tuition. So maybe you're in an apprenticeship taking night classes, trying to find what you want to do. Maybe it's engineering, maybe it's, computer science or anything of that nature. We'll help pay for it. And then once you get your degree, you're already in the company. Like I mentioned earlier, it's easier to move around once you're an internal employee. So it would be relatively easy once you get that degree to get into a role that's fit for you, something that you're truly passionate about, something that you would love to do. And other opportunities too. Maybe you're just wanting to get an opportunity, a job while you're going through college. We have contact centers. Our contact centers have, and they all get that same benefit, tuition reimbursement. So maybe you want to just have a job and get through college, and then, you know, move into something that really interests you, and it would be easy to do so.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I know that we all kind of talked about this a little bit, but do you have any other information that you can say a little bit different than what we've talked about any internal training programs, including apprenticeships? Cristina?
About apprenticeships. Okay, so gosh, you know what? In general, I would just say look for, if that's what you want to do, look for the internship opportunities. You know, like I mentioned before, you're not sure if that's the path you want to pursue until you do an internship. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Justin, how about you?
Sure. So yeah, I already touched on the internship program. We have a very robust internship program that I encourage everyone to try. That represents our lineman, engineering, designer, IT, technician fields. So that's one great program that you can do either over the summer or while going to school if that opportunity presents itself. We partner with those linemen and technical colleges, and that's kind of the pathway that we provide that opportunity to folks while they're still going to school. In terms of training, we do have a lot of internal trainings for the different fields that we have at Oncor. One of them is new employee development programs that our new folks attend that offer technical help and get you plugged into the industry and just as a new working professional. Our technical craft folks that are in the field, there's a summer training that we do every year that helps everyone learn the new equipment and the skills that they need to stay safe and to maintain the grid. Right now, though, as COVID's here, we're trying for the first time an online training. So that's a really interesting way to do that and challenging, but it's been going good so far. And then other types of trainings, we have leadership development programs that are for new people leaders that think they want to be a manager and the skills that can best support teams to learn that, to lead and grow the organization. And then finally, one thing is if you've heard of Lean Six Sigma tools and processes, a few years ago, we started providing Greenbelt trainings to Oncor employees to enhance those to do better and be more efficient and effective at how we do our jobs.
Very good. How about you, Keaton?
A lot of what Justin just said, we have just about the same programs. Our apprenticeships are a little unique in that, all the training, we actually have our own school. It's, internal. So you don't necessarily have to go out and get a certificate or anything to join our apprenticeship programs. You can actually join them straight out of high school. You could become a first-year apprentice. Sometimes there's limitations. You might need to get a CDL, which you may not be able to get straight out of high school. But like in the power plant, you can go be a maintenance apprentice, as soon as you graduate, if that's what you want to do. They'll train you on the job. They provide you with some schooling, and they'll get you to where you need to be to become a journeyman in that field.
Very good. So what % of your workforce is female? And what efforts do you do to attract women, especially in a non-traditional job? Cristina, can you start us off?
Sure. So we have close to 30% women that are part of the workforce. And we're trying to increase that number. One of the ways that we do that is through, of course, our internship programs. We have partnerships with Alamo Academies and with some of the high schools. And when we do our recruitment presentations, we introduce, the various careers, whether it's a degree field or a technical field. And then from there, we try to select interns who, we have females and males. Past couple of summers, we've had, just in our distribution program, we've had anywhere from 3 to 4 females that are part of that program. And we bring on about 10 interns just for that program. And then we've even had interns in our fleet department. At one time, we had 3. And then we also have recruiters who go out to the colleges and they recruit students from there. We always try to bring on, the females, because we go out there and we just try to recruit, females to come on and to try out the different careers. And then on the inside, our current employees, if they want to take a shift from the current job that they're doing and try to pursue something else, we encourage that as well. So, some of them can go from, working in communications to all of a sudden they're out working in the field, as in distribution. So we offer, those types of opportunities.
Very good. Justin, what about Oncor?
A lot of the similar things that Cristina was mentioning on the internships and advocating for women in STEM fields and in the utility industry is definitely something we do as well, just like CPS. So currently, I would say Oncor has about 20% of our workforce that are women. So historically, people applying in the utility industry have been more, the folks that have been applying have been more predominantly male, which makes it challenging from a recruiting standpoint. And so that's what we're really gearing towards, is to make sure that that people and students, everybody that knows that there are jobs in the utility career, and that they're fun and that they're exciting, and definitely advocating for a very diverse workforce and well-rounded. That's actually one of the top priorities of our leadership, is to be well-rounded and diverse. Not only that, but also hire in the communities that we serve in. So with respect to the female workforce, what we do is Oncor is engaged in a lot of different efforts and diversity councils that we either support or host that promote women in STEM. So a couple of examples of this is, for the past 2 years, Oncor hosts a all-girls physics summer camp for women, and they go to the Oncor headquarters and they explore all the different career opportunities that are available as a STEM professional. And this trip, it's hands-on as well, and they get to build LED breadboards on circuits and learn about the technical aspects in the world of STEM. And so the idea is to give those students real examples of what you can do in these careers to hopefully give women a pathway of what they could do at Oncor as a female engineers, and we've been pretty successful of that. Our numbers are growing each and every year, and that's again, an important thing that we're striving towards in our industry. And then another example is that we host several exhibits from the Fort Worth Museum of Science and history during the museum's Girls in Engineering events. And our employees internally, they volunteer and go to those events to show young girls and their families what it's like to explore those STEM-related activities. And so moving forward, we're going to continue to advocate and promote for those to get to continue increasing our numbers and promote STEM in our service territory, and to minorities and females as well, that will continue supporting.
Very good. So Keaton, what are you all doing in Amarillo, in the Panhandle area?
Absolutely. So right now, in the Panhandle area, yes, ma'am. Right now, we currently have just under 25% of our workforce is female. And so what we do to try and get out and attract more women into these, I guess, more non-traditional roles is just by, really introducing them to these types of career paths early. We do a lot of high school outreach, as I've said before, and a big piece of that is just trying to show everyone that what's out there, what you can go into, what you might enjoy. We similarly to Oncor, we also host some science fairs in the summer. We have one called Women in Science Endeavors, where we work with another company in Amarillo called Pantex to host I think it's a couple-day long event in Amarillo. We work with the Girl Scouts. We give tours of our power plants to the Girl Scouts and to many other organizations that are similar to those, just to kind of introduce them to what's available. In terms of college outreach, we also will do a lot of work with the Society of Women Engineers, whether it's info sessions, career fairs, that type of thing, just to try and generate interest in this field. And you know, to make this work, we need the best and brightest people. And you have to be open to any gender, any color, and any type of person to really get what we need to make our company successful.
Absolutely. At First in Texas, not sure for this current season, but last year about 34% of our team members were girls, and it's something that we work on, as well as, like you all said, recruiting students of color, students with different abilities, and even trying to target in rural areas where they don't have the same access to services. So thank you for that. I'm glad to hear all of you are doing exactly the same thing. So I know our audience cares about the planet. And what efforts has your agency undertaken to protect our climate? Let's start with you, Cristina.
So, of course, the environment remains a high priority, you know, for our community, especially with the growing demand of power. A few of the things that we're doing is, of course, offering rebates for homeowners and businesses. And one such program is our Big Sun Community Solar Program. The program provides an option for customers who may live in an apartment or may not want to install solar on their home rooftops to purchase panels in a community solar array that also serves as a shade in parking lots. We also have reduced emissions over time, even in the growing community. We have reduced nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide since 1997. Our flexible path is our path forward. As we continue to reduce these emissions, you know, we'll adopt other ways of working with the community to benefit our environment. Also, we have our STEP program, and through the STEP program, CPS Energy has taken an approach to reduce the growth of our community's demand for electricity, and that's where some of the rebates come in, and also the different meters that we're using. We want the community to be aware of how much they're using. As a matter of fact, every day I get a little alert, like, hey, you are using this much compared to what your neighbors are using. And so it's something that I've been really keeping a watch on to what else I can reduce. And so that's some of the feedback that I've heard from the customers. They're more aware of what they're utilizing and are trying to figure out ways to reduce.
Okay. Justin, what is Oncor doing?
Sure, yeah, like Cristina and the audience, Oncor very much cares about protecting the environment and climate and the communities we live in, and you know, that can be sometimes a challenge because, you know, we want to keep the lights on and we want to build infrastructure, and the goal there is to, if we're building, that we want to leave the environment as untouched and unharmed as we found it. And we work very hard to do that. So from an environmental perspective, we definitely take a proactive approach. We have an environmental department that is focused on protecting the wildlife and the ecosystem in the area, as I mentioned, not disturbing those natural habitats. And an example of that is a few years ago in the Seagullville area, we rebuilt a transmission line there, and we found that this transmission line had an existing eagle's nest in the structure, and so we wanted to protect that eagle and his family. So what we did was we actually erected a brand new structure that looked just like it, but actually bigger, stronger, and taller right next to it. And luckily, an eagle's nest from what I hear, only one place their whole life. And so luckily, when the eagle had the opportunity to go to the other nest, he took to it. And he took to that transmission tower, and I believe he's still there to this day. And there's been over 12 to 13 eaglets there. And so we're really sensitive, yes, and we're really sensitive on those kinds of things. That was a great win for us, and something we're really proud to share with folks. And so a couple other environmental things that we do. We have, as I mentioned, we have a facility in Lancaster, Texas that processes and cleans hundreds of thousands of gallons of oil that we can reclaim and put it back into our equipment, so that we can avoid buying new oil. So right there, that lowers a large amount of greenhouse gases that would have needed to be created and emitted in order for us. And then think about smart meters as well. With the deployment of smart meters, not only do we have more data, but we've saved millions of miles of truck rolls that we don't need to do anymore to read the meters anymore. And so all those miles add up to a large amount of greenhouse gases that we're not putting into the atmosphere anymore. From the energy efficiency side, a lot of the same things that Cristina was mentioning. At Oncor, we spend about $50 million a year to help residential, commercial, and corporate customers, and also low income, to help their houses be more efficient and more comfortable and consume less power. So to put into perspective of what this $50 million made, this ended up translating last year to 220,000 megawatt hours of energy savings, which is the equivalent of 17,800 homes of energy not needing to be served from the grid. So that means that those coal plants, those natural gas, that 17,800 homes don't need to be powered by them because of the savings that we're putting inside the houses. So if you don't have that, then that means you don't have coal and you don't have barrels of oil that you need to burn. And so that translates to 849 rail cars worth of coal and 357,000 barrels of oil that didn't have to burn, 154,000 metric tons of greenhouse gases that are avoided. And so same thing, we offer discounts on LEDs. If you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or Costco, or Walmart, you'll see a little green sticker on the lights that Oncor will subsidize and pay a portion of that light bulb for you to conserve energy. Yeah, look for that little sticker next time you go there if you're in the Oncor service territory. And then we also offer a $75 discount on smart thermostats so that you can monitor your home consumption even better.
So Keaton, what does Xcel Energy do?
I was really excited about this question. Xcel Energy was actually the first major utility provider in the United States to announce an ambition to be 100% carbon neutral by 2050. And that's with an 80% reduction in carbon emissions by 2030. And so basically everything that both Cristina and Justin said, we're doing on top of creating more generation from renewable resources, whether it's hydro, wind, solar, nuclear. We're bringing more of those options online, and we're starting to retire more and more of our coal and our gas power plants. And so, it's an exciting time to be in the utility industry because, a 100% carbon neutral goal by 2050 with the technology we have right now is not possible. We've never made the claim it is possible, but the goal is to come up with ways, bring people together who can come up with ways to solve these issues, to make it a reality, whether it's through, battery power that we're going to be looking at, and we have actually already made some investments in that in some of our wind farms up north, but it's just not enough. We're going to have to find better, more efficient ways to make this goal possible, and it just makes it really exciting right now to get into this industry for sure.
Very good. So here's our last question for today. Is there anything you would like our first students to know that I haven't asked? And any words of advice to them? Cristina?
Let's see. So having to do with anything that we've discussed here, or just in general? Okay.
Or that we didn't ask.
Okay. For one, definitely take the opportunity to participate in an internship. Secondly, don't say no to opportunity, especially when there may be other careers out there that may be of interest. You never know what it could lead to. Third, learn all you can. That bit of information, that new skill, that new knowledge could take you many places.
Very good. What about Justin? How about you?
Sure. So I'll first start off by saying that I think that all of you who are watching that are in STEM robotics, you are already on such a great track on being engaged and making the right steps personally for having a great career. This community is so awesome. So I definitely encourage you to keep doing it. I was not a FIRST robotics student when I was in high school, but if I would have known about it, I definitely would have joined. It's so amazing what you guys do. So please keep it up. Couple words of wisdom. So as the world is constantly changing, I encourage you to continue staying plugged in and engaged with the current technologies. There's always new things that are happening. And so stay plugged into podcasts, watch TED Talks that are not even in the energy industry, but just the whole tech STEM industry as a whole, because it's advancing as fast as ever. And then I would say keep finding ways to innovate and improve things. There's so many different opportunities out there, as Cristina mentioned, and at Oncor or anywhere, there's always things that we can improve and change and innovate on. And so we're going to need you to help with that and help drive us forward to be more efficient and more reliable. And then finally, as Cristina mentioned, never stop learning, never stop asking questions. It's a cliche thing to say, but it's also really important. In my 10 years in the industry, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And I ask questions every single day, and I'm always looking, even 10 years in. So continue to do that and into the future, even as you are a professional, and keep going.
Very good. Keaton, what words of advice do you have?
Sure. So I would say, be prepared for change, embrace change. Allow yourself to experience new things. Find what you love to do. Don't get stuck doing something you don't want to do, because that makes it a whole lot harder. It's a lot easier to live your life if you love what you're doing. So just be open to new ideas, and good luck to you.
Well, thank you all for being on the panel today. I hope the messages and the knowledge that you shared today, I know will really resonate with our FIRST students, especially with internships, apprenticeships, training program, all the things that you all suggested to do to keep them informed and prepared for our future workforce. So on behalf of FIRST in Texas, we would like to thank each of you for sharing your knowledge, wisdom, and insight to help our students learn more about the electric industry. Career and industry exploration is so very important to students when making decisions on their career paths. I'm Susan Ashmore, and check our calendar for all the virtual sessions coming up soon. Thank you.